Welcome to the 2010 election road trip. I'm Nels Jensen, the Director of Content and Programming at the Press Enterprise. We would like to thank our 6 candidates here for participating today. We'd like to thank our audience here in the auditorium, and we would like to thank our audience live on pe.com. This is the 25th and final forum of the week that we are doing on this inaugural road trip. We would like to thank our sponsors. In addition to the Press Enterprise, our sponsors are the Beaumont Cherry Valley Park and Recreation Department and the Mount San Jacinto College. We started on Monday in Beaumont. On Tuesday we were in Riverside. Wednesday we were in San Jacinto. And yesterday and today we are here on the Menifee campus of the college. This and all forums are being shown on pe.com and also are available on demand on the politics area of pe.com. The rules for today's forum are pretty simple. Each candidate will get a 2-minute opening statement. We will go in the order of which the names appear on the ballot. We'll have a question and answer period from our moderator. Each candidate will be able to answer each question. Those answers will be limited to 1 minute, and there will be a 1-minute closing statement. And now I'd like to turn the podium over to our moderator, a professor of political science here at the Menifee campus, Dr. Stacy Searle Chapin.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome. The city of Lake Elsinore is the oldest city in Riverside County and is, of course, home to Lake Elsinore. It has both historic character and plenty of new housing and businesses. It is also home to the Diamond, a minor league baseball stadium that is home to the Storm. So let's first take a moment to meet the candidates. We have first here Brian Tisdale, an emergency planning director. We have Thomas Buckley, a council member and business owner. We have Joyce Smith, a business owner, Patrick Masterson, a mechanic and student, Steve Manos, a businessman, and Daryl Hickman, a councilman and substitute teacher. There are 2 seats available for the council. Mr. Buckley and Mr. Hickman are the incumbents, and we will now provide each candidate with a 2-minute opening statement, starting with Brian Tisdale.
Thank you. I want to thank the Press Enterprise for hosting this candidates forum. It is so important that the residents of Lake Elsinore get to know the people that they are going to elect to serve as City Council for the next 4 years. I'm a retired United States Marine Corps Master Sergeant, and I've served my country for 22 years. For the last 12 years, I've lived in Lake Elsinore. I continue to serve the residents of the county as a program director for the Department of Public Health, developing emergency plans and for different medical response throughout the county. I manage state and federal grants, totaling over $7 million for those public health programs. I'm used to hiring staff, creating and balancing budgets. I work closely with law enforcement, fire, emergency medical services, hospitals, and some of our other community partners. I have served on committees at the local and state level, and I'm used to collaborating with agencies to move projects forward to completion. For 8 years, I've worked throughout the state with nonprofit medical associations and Indian health centers, training and preparing them to respond if a disaster should occur. For the past 2 years, I've served as president of the Lake Elsinore NAACP, raising money for scholarships and working to unite the citizens of Lake Elsinore and Southwest Riverside County. And in my free time, I coach soccer, and when my wife allows me, I assist her with some of her volunteer efforts with the United Way and Salvation Army. My life experiences have taught me how to manage budgets, balance budgets, manage staff, and move projects forward. My experience as a community volunteer has given me valuable insight to the people of the city and areas that need improvement. I'm married and I have 2 kids. My education is I have a Master's of Science degree in Emergency Services Administration and a Bachelor's of Science in Management Human Resources. And I'm running for City Council because I'd like to bring in recreational events around the lake, activities for our children, and businesses that will create jobs and revenue for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move now to Thomas Buckley.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the Lake Elsinore residents for the opportunity to serve our city for the past 9 years. Though we are obviously facing difficult challenges at the moment, I think we can all be very proud of how far Lake Elsinore has come. We've added police officers and firefighters, cutting response times and our crime rate dramatically. We've opened 4 new parks, cleaned up the lake, we've made City Hall more open and accessible to the public, and we have doubled the number of jobs. In the coming 4 years, we must protect the gains we have made and build upon those gains for the future. A balanced development plan allowing for growth while protecting the quality of life of current residents and the unique feel of our city is a must. We need to be prepared for and encourage the coming economic turnaround by instituting business-friendly streamlining practices at City Hall and by implementing the forward-looking downtown master plan. Finally, we must make sure that our council represents all of our citizens and not be swayed by special interests and personal friendships. We made great progress in this area, and we cannot allow small, self-interested cliques to drag us backwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Joyce Smith.
Hello, and I as well would like to thank you for hosting us here today and for the opportunity to speak to the residents of Lake Elsinore. I would like to start my comments by first of all saying that, and making it very clear that I am first and foremost a resident of Lake Elsinore, not a politician. I've lived in the city for over 30 years. My husband and I came here in 1979. We raised our children, went through the school systems. Here in Lake Elsinore, I've owned a business. I am a CEO of a public charity, and I also have been involved in many volunteer programs and been involved in many things that have gone on throughout those 30 years of my residence. I feel that I bring a voice of the people who live and shop and do all their daily business here in Lake Elsinore. And I have watched and been involved through the years in the city council. I've always been interested in how our city is run. I've been willing to go to council meetings in the past and to be a support for our leaders. And in 2001, I formulated a group of people that came together and actually started a mayor's prayer breakfast so that we could publicly display our thanks and give them the honor that I felt they were due. And so I have been involved in doing different sorts of volunteer work in the community. I appreciate the opportunity to come to this table today and to share who I am with you, and I would love to have the opportunity at this point in time to serve my community. I have been married for 44 years to the same man. I have 2 children and 7 grandchildren, and I believe that it's time for Lake Elsinore to have a change in the leadership so that we can begin to move forward with the potential that we have as a city with a lake at the heart and center. We have not yet begun to unpack.
Okay, I'm going to ask that we move on now. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
thank you.
Sorry, time's up. We had to be somewhat strict on time since there's so many of you. Let's hear now from Patrick Masterson.
Okay, hi, I'm Patrick Masterson. I'm running for City Council. Happily divorced, no kids. Life is good. All right, here we go. Just like Letterman's got a top 10, you got to hear this. Our public servants, if you will. The top 10, starting with number 10. Justin Carlson, $82,000, 710, with a benefit package of $37,000, for a total of $119,000. Matthew Harris, salary $92,000, benefit package almost $40,000, $132,000 total. Let's see. $95,000, $36,000 benefits, $105,000, $42,000 benefits, $122,000, $51,000 benefits for a total of $174,000. $128,449 with a benefit package of $46,000 for a total of $174,000. Good God, it goes on and on. Ditto for the next one. There's 2 weighing in at $134,000 with a benefit package of $52,000 for a total of $187,000. And last but not least, number 1, our city manager, $185,000 salary with a $64,000 benefit package for a total of $249,000. somebody help me here. I'm having a hard time deciphering public servant from whatever this is. No, you see, a public servant serves the community. This is outlandish. You know, this kind of money, I just can't justify this. I can't. I don't know anybody in this town.
Okay, thank you. So time's up. We're going to move on to Steve Manos. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'd like to go ahead and thank the Press Enterprise for this fabulous setup. I've participated in several forums, and I got to say, this is one of the nicest setups that I've been a part of so far. My name is Steve Manos, and I'm running for Lake Elsinore City Council. I've been a 23-year resident of Lake Elsinore, graduated high school there, actually grew up in Lake Elsinore. Graduated from Temescal Canyon High School, and I went on to UCLA to study business economics. I left college early to pursue a career in real estate services, and I'm currently CEO and owner of a mortgage, real estate, and escrow services corporation. I am a very active contributor of the community currently. One of my proudest things that I've been participating in now is the Lake Elsinore Citizens Corps, where I serve as a sector commander. My other proud thing that I take a part of is the Inland Valleys Association of Realtors, where I currently serve as a director. But my service on the board has earned me distinction next year as president-elect of the Inland Valleys Association of Realtors. That is an organization that promotes the ethical actions and cooperations of real estate professionals in the San Bernardino and Riverside County regions. We have about 5,000 members, about the size of a small city. I also serve regionally, statewide, on the California Association of Realtors as a legislative director. I've been appointed for next year also, and next year I've also earned distinction as a legislative director for the National Association of Realtors. So I'll be going to Washington and trying to go ahead and act on the behalf of residents and property owners in our area to go ahead and make our communities a better place. Also serve on the Lake Elsinore Unified School District's CTE Committee, Career Technical Education Committee, to promote vocational jobs, and also on the Temescal Canyon High School School Site Council to go ahead and promote grants and programs and direct funding for underprivileged. I have three big ideas for this city. I want to lower taxes. I want to go ahead and cut spending at City Hall, and that's a campaign promise to go ahead and cut spending at City Hall by 10%. And finally, I'd like to go ahead and bring businesses and jobs to this community, and I am bringing businesses and jobs to this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And finally, Daryl Hickman.
Thank you. I've got to agree with my man on the left. I was at a career expo for the high school, and they were looking at jobs, and I had one word: government. Okay? I created, as a city council member, I think your job is to create jobs and improve the quality of life in the city. I'm running on jobs and education. I have a commitment from Castle and Cook. They were at the Planning Commission last Tuesday, four-year university, Lake and I-15. It's going to be tied with Point Loma and Nazarene. First program is going to be nursing. We're going to hope that it will eventually lead into a medical complex. Jobs. I'm very pro-business. You find that I'm a community supporter. I'm physically responsible. I've proven integrity. I'm a public servant and a veteran of 4.5 years of the Air Force. Going back to jobs. My experience has really brought me forth to help people come in. And as today, we have actually introduced the LA Slam, coming out of their professional basketball team from the American Basketball Association. They have selected Lake Elsinore, which means we'll create about 1,000 jobs. They are right now in negotiations for land and negotiations. I have no idea. I'm not in it. I'm not an investor. But we introduced it to the city this morning. It's the future. I mean, it's going to bring everything. You're going to see financial growth. Everything around that area just expand. We are a city called Dream Extreme, and that's what we offer. All kinds of sports, from skydiving, motorcycles, baseball. Our lake is becoming a sports fishing lake. We added 18,000 striped bass. Life is good, and we're going to put Lake Elsinore on the market. So give me your vote the second. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for those opening statements. Let's move now to questions. Our first question is for the challengers. And some of you have touched on this in your opening statement, but now you can elaborate on it a little more if you'd like. And the question is, what would you add to the City Council? And let's start with Brian Tisdale.
I need you to clarify that, to add to City Council.
What would you bring to the City Council?
What would I bring to City Council?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I think I bring honesty and integrity to the City Council. I bring experience from not only what I do today, but from what I did for 22 years in the Marine Corps, traveling around the country, traveling around the world, seeing different things, working. When you talk about volunteering, I've volunteered in a lot of ways. The Marine Corps, Red Cross. I just think that I bring new ideas, open views, and I think that Lake Elsinore is ready for a change, and they need new ideas. And I want to say, you know, I'm business friendly. I believe in bringing businesses in that's going to support the city and that's responsible for the city. But I don't think that a council member can create jobs or bring business. I think they can enact ordinances and laws so that businesses can come in and we can be a business friendly city. But to create jobs, I think government, when it gets out of the way, the entrepreneur and the people are the ones that create the business. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Joyce Smith. What would you bring to the City Council?
Well, we've heard several things spoken in the opening comments, and what I feel in my 30 years of living in the city is that I've been looking for something to happen, more to happen around the lake and with our recreational potential. And my heart would be to go forth with some of the plans that we have been talking about for years and years. And I believe that we need to move forward with those plans. I believe that we need strong leadership. We need to be proactive in moving forward with bringing businesses in. And I am able to come to the table with other leaders. I am a proven leader, and I am able to come with others and come to the table, roll up our sleeves, get a solution. And I believe I bring new life to the council, which we desperately need. In these tough times when we have to make tough decisions, we need to be proactive and move forward, and that's what I would bring to the council.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Patrick Masterson.
Integrity and accountability. I'm not in anyone's pocket. No one has given me dime one in the way of a campaign contribution, nor do I belong to any special interest group. I did, however, spend $1 on this that the city wanted for 25 cents a page, plus the $25 to file, which brings me up for a total of $26. To get business in, we have to, like it's been said, get government out of the way. But, you know, I proposed the other night that we give like at least a few years tax exempt. Now somebody says we can't give away Lake Elsinore real estate. Well, if you looked around, it's barren and weed covered to begin with. If you provide a true incentive for business to come, because the economy is, after all, in the toilet, if you're putting people to work, that's a good thing. Because if they're working, they have money. Because many people's unemployment has been exhausted. So if you have citizens making money, they're spending it locally. I don't think they're going to go traipsing off into somewhere else to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Steve Manos.
What I would bring to the City Council is I'm a man of action. We have a lot of people who say things, nice things about the city. Some people say bad things about the city. What I'm doing today, right now, is earlier today we, together with Mr. Hickman, we brought a project together, culminated in a press conference this afternoon to bring this sports team to Lake Elsinore. It's a project that I'm proud to have played a part in. I've run several times, and I could have packed it up and went home and took my ball and been upset about it, but I didn't. I kept getting involved, I continue to give to my community, and I continue to go ahead and work hard to bring good things to this city. And I wanted to do more than just make promises. I wanted to show a sign that I'm different. I'm a little bit different than the other people that you've listened to today, yesterday, previous elections. Because not only do I want to get it done, I make things get done. And so I look for your vote, and I hope to go ahead and get things done for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear now from the incumbents. Why are you running for re-election? Let's start with Thomas Buckley.
That's a common question.
I know.
Um,
Although one everyone should answer.
I'm running for re-election because I think I've actually done a pretty darn good job over the last 9 years. Lake Elsinore is a very, very different place than it was a decade ago. The lake has been cleaned up. We've doubled the number of jobs. 3 million square feet of commercial and retail space has come in. Crime rate has been slashed by more than a third. And the image of the city has changed. There is no question that Elsinore is not the redheaded stepchild anymore. And we now have things to be proud of and proud in. We've also improved the civic culture and really opened up City Hall to make it more transparent, make it more accessible for everyone. 10 years ago, Patrick, it would have taken you months and possibly a lawsuit to get that information. So again, I've done a good job, and I'd like to do it for 4 more years.
Thank you. And Daryl Hickman.
Excuse me. I'm running to bring a couple projects to fruition. One is a university. It's going to take us a while to work with it, but I want to bring it, and that's why I'm running. Second is the general plan. We've been working on our general plan for 6, going on 7 years, which to me is a farce, okay? The other thing is we brought in a basketball team. I want to see the growth that goes with that. The other thing is, the reason I'm after jobs is because the kids in high school do not have a place to go get a job, and college graduates, there are no jobs. So my concern is, let's have jobs. So if you have money, you have personal pride, you have a couple pennies in your pocket, and you can enjoy life. What have we done? My record speaks for itself. We brought in Lowe's, Costco, Home Depot, Target. We brought in firemen. We brought in policemen. We brought in parks with dog runs, okay? And a new animal shelter. In fact, if I get sick, that's where my wife's taking me, because it's built to hospital specifications. That's what's happened during my tenure, and we've got a long ways to go. And the university and the NBA, or rather the American basketball team, the Slam, will move our city forward. They'll put it on, because that will give growth to the whole Inland Empire. You're gonna see
Okay,
everything.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is, what would you do to boost business and economic growth in Lake Elsinore? Let's start with Joyce Smith.
Well, I believe that what we need to do to stimulate the economy in our city is to bring in businesses. Business is the heart of the community and of a city, and we need what the businesses would bring. We need to create incentives to bring businesses to our community and become more business friendly. I know that many businesses have come and looked and gone away because they haven't been embraced. And I also believe that when we bring in businesses, it stimulates jobs. It will bring a new life to our community. We have done pretty well the last 10 years with our growth, but we have not even begun to tap into the potential that we have with our lake and our recreational potential. And so we need to develop that and bring business-friendly tactics to City Hall.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Thomas Buckley. Your turn.
Oh, okay.
How would you boost business and economic growth in Lake Elsinore?
Thank you. Well, I think we've done a lot to boost business and economic growth. And what we have to do now is to make sure that we as a city are ready turnkey for the economic turnaround. The downtown master plan will create jobs, will create office space, will create recreational opportunities that mesh with the Dream Extreme image, with the airport, with the baseball stadium, with the lake. Creating jobs is extremely important. Creating good corporate citizens of our city is also extremely important. You have to make sure that the jobs that are coming in are good jobs, and that the businesses that are coming in are real and proper and not abusive. You have to make sure that the jobs benefit not just the person with the job, but with the community. And whatever the city can do, I think Brian has a good point. At some level, the best thing government can do is stay as far out of the process as possible, but we have to make sure to encourage what we can.
Thank you. Brian Tisdale, your turn.
Thank you, Tom. He gave my part. I think that the way to bring business into the city is to give them a reason to come. Joyce mentioned incentives. I think Patrick mentioned incentives earlier. We have to have incentives for businesses to come. The other thing, the businesses have to come and they have to see a city that's worth investing in. We have to get rid of the abandoned buildings. We have to clean up our image. We can't have homeless people at our exits going into the city. We can't have trash and dirt in our city. So we have really got to work on cleaning up the city so people will want to come to our cities. They'll never come if the city's dirty, if there's no potential for them to grow. Business, they want to make money, and they're not going to make money or think they can make money in a city where you have abandoned buildings and homeless people and other folks. That's the first thing that they see. So again, we have to start with cleaning up our city, using our redevelopment dollars, providing incentives, and like Joyce said, utilizing a lake. We have the best lake in California. We need to utilize it.
Thank you. Patrick Masterson, let's hear from you next.
Yeah, similar to that, unfortunately our redevelopment funds have been pillaged by the fine folks in Sacramento. But we do need to clean up the derelict element. We need our police force to focus its priorities on protect and serve instead of rape and pillage. You got to have something good going on. If your business is getting broken into and it's got graffiti all over it, it's not a good thing for somebody from the outside to come in and see. All right, we have to have incentives. Let's hit the nail on the head. We're not going to talk around the bush. Give them a hefty tax break. I don't care if you got to make them exempt for 3 years. We're competing with a whole bunch of other places in an economy that's so sluggish that it's going in reverse, okay? We haven't got the time to beat around the bush and play games. It's going to be this way for a while. Get used to it. I'm not going to school because it's the land of bounty and there's jobs all over, okay? I'm going here to get educated so that when it does break, I have a better chance at a better living. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Manos, let's hear from you.
There's a couple of things that have to happen in Lake Elsinore. And first things first is that I think it's pretty well established that Lake Elsinore has created a bad name for itself in dealing with businesses. In the press, in its dealings, we have sent a message to the outside communities that we want things the way they are. At least the people in charge want things the way they are. But I've talked to the community as a whole, and as somebody that's grown up in this city, I know that the residents at large are looking for some progress in the city. We're tired of the lake being dirty. We're tired of the exits being barren. We're tired of the trash in the city. We're tired of a lot of different things. So number one is you have to go ahead and spend some money on some capital improvement projects. Number two, you have to finish your general plan, because without a plan, then you're working towards nothing, and your plan goes towards nothing, and that's what you get is nothing. And then you have to go ahead and have a good ambassador that goes out and brings businesses to this community. We used to have an assistant city manager who used to do that job, and that person's gone, and there's been no replacement for that. We need people like me. I've gone out, I went ahead and found a group that's looking for a home, for a professional basketball team, and for an Olympic stadium, and I brought them to town. And today, we made our first statement to the world that Lake Elsinore is going to change forever. Thank you.
And finally, Daryl Hickman.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. What would you do to boost business and economic growth in Lake Elsinore?
Well, just a couple things. First of all, let me tell you a couple situations. We brought in Walmart's with an incentive. We brought in Costco with an incentive. We had Toyota that wanted to come in. I requested the council, we give them 6 months free taxes, okay? Got shot down. You can't find that Toyota dealership. It's all dirt, okay? And I imagine if we'll never see it. One of the other things that I've done, when I ran in 2001, I ran on a river walk, such as San Antonio, Texas. It goes now, it will be completed this year from the lake all the way out to Riverside Drive. Something else, I'm working with the Chinese on the location on the water. They want to bring in a hotel, a restaurant, an amphitheater, and a pier. You can get on our lake, which is a beautiful lake, okay? It's really a massive improvement. In fact, we're making it a sports fishing lake. So the other thing is, the thing we have to improve, our lake, you go on it, you can't spend a dime. There's no businesses on there, and we've got to make that, that's one of the improvements we have to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to our next question. The council called on employers to use E-Verify to ensure that new hires are authorized to work in the country. In proposing that, Councilman Darrell Hickman said he wanted to prevent Lake Elsinore from becoming a sanctuary city. Do you believe Lake Elsinore is becoming a sanctuary city? And if so, what do you believe should be done? So let's start with Steve Manos. We'll get to you, Mr. Hickman.
The problems that Lake Elsinore has with illegal immigration is a little bit different than the problems that have been more prevalent in the news lately in Arizona. We don't have as bad a problem as those places, but we're heading in those directions. E-Verify is a free program that allows business owners who are in good standing with the city to go ahead and just verify that the people that are working for them are real. And unfortunately, being a business owner, it's very easy to manufacture documentation. The law is you must be legal in the United States to work here, pay taxes, participate, and give your fair share. And as a Hispanic man, I am somebody who comes from a family who has people who have immigrated recently in the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, my cousin came over. He's an adult, he's my age. He did it the right way, you know? And that's the way it should be done. My family doesn't support illegal immigration, and as a council person, I wouldn't either. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear from Brian Tisdale.
Thank you. First, I don't think Lake Elsinore is becoming a sanctuary city. I'm for upholding the laws, but I'm also for Lake Elsinore being a responsible city. You know, Lake Elsinore was the first city to elect an African-American mayor in 1966 in California. And we're a very diverse community. And I never want to do anything as a city council member that would divide the city. So I support our laws. I think immigration is a federal function. I think the federal government should move forward and take a serious stance in solving this federal issue. And I think the lake itself should try to unite its residents and move forward.
Thank you. Thomas Buckley.
Thank you very much. No, I don't think Lake Elsinore is in danger of becoming a sanctuary city in any way, shape, or form. I voted for E-Verify. I voted for the resolution in favor of support of Arizona Senate Bill 1070. But I also know that it is a very complicated problem. I'm Riverside County's representative to the San Diego Association of Governments and sit on the same board with the Council General from Tijuana. And we've discussed this a number of times. The problem with illegal immigration is that it doesn't just damage the United States, it damages Mexico. It damages the country that people leave from. No matter what you say about someone who's an illegal alien, they have the gumption to try again somewhere else. If we have to encourage, actually, and we have to make sure that they stay in their own countries and get rid of the oligarchs in Central America. One final thing on the last question, Mr. Hickman's reference to Toyota was false. The city did agree to a tax reimbursement program.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Hickman, now it's your turn.
I'm the one that brought the E-Verification and the resolution from Arizona to the council. We voted for it. But I'm from Michigan, and I'm very naive, okay, about the Latinos culture. One mayor, we have 3 Latino groups in our city. We have them from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Mexico, and they all hate each other. You could drive down the street where they actually solicit work, and they had stones marking their territory. That was one thing. So when I was mayor, they were scaring the women and the people coming downtown. This is in 2008. Got a hold of ICE, Darrell Issa, and we had them come in, and we actually deported 290. They were the 290 you do not want in this country. They were MS-13s. They were all people with history and records, and that's what we did. The city is not a sanctuary city. We're open arms, and if you come here legally, we love you, and we want you, okay? In fact, I think we have probably one of the largest Guatemalan groups, and I think my time's up, in the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Patrick Masterson.
Okay, zero tolerance. If you're a business owner and you hire illegals, chances are pretty much you know you are. Forfeiture of everything, have a nice day, get lost. You can roll down Main Street, and you know what? It's loaded with people who are here illegally. I'm not a big fan of political correctness. If you break the law, you're a criminal. That's about all I have.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Joyce Smith.
Well, I do not want our city to become a sanctuary city, and I believe employers should use this means of checking out their employees. I think that is the thing that business owners and employers should always do, is find out who is working for them. I believe that the immigration issue is one of the big issues that we do face in our city, and that we need to cooperate with all of the agencies that help regulate this issue in our city. And to me, the key word is illegal. If someone is doing anything illegal, then we need to, they need to pay the consequences. And our employers need to be responsible in how they handle their business practices. And I think that the E-Verify is a good way to do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. The city made budgets this fiscal year and laid off 11 employees, and the city expects to face more budget problems in the upcoming years. How would you handle another year in which city revenues are expected to be millions of dollars less than its proposed expenditures? Let's hear first from Patrick Masterson.
Okay, in case no one caught my opening statement, the top 10 could use a little bit of a reduction here. Ludicrous comes to mind. There are ways to trim a budget, and you start with the grossest examples and work your way down. We have a lot of things that we're paying for that aren't up to par. It should be pay on performance. We have a police department. Myself, I sat over 3 hours waiting for a cop to show up, tried an accident report. I was 1 block away from the police station. 3 hours and 45 minutes response time. I asked, why is this? Well, because all these sheriffs that kept driving past me are on contracts for other people. Well, where's ours? You know? But when it comes to writing a fictitious ticket, well, they're on it like Bluebonnet. I've got one in my pocket for an intersection that doesn't even exist. Been to court twice, second time this morning just to get a court date that I could go to. Again, the question was?
How would you handle another year in which revenues are less than expenditures?
Conservatively.
All right. Thank you. Let's hear now from Brian Tisdale.
You know, things are going to get better in the city. Right now, again, we're looking at, you know, a deficit, but I think we need to look very carefully at all aspects of the budget. We should look at every program. We should look at every contract. The contracts that we can renegotiate, we should renegotiate. But I'm not one that says we should cut across the board 10%. If we have to make cuts, we have to make cuts. But we should look at every program within the city, see what's working for us, what's not working for us, where we can do it better. If contracts are up for renegotiation, we should shop around and look for better deals. But I think that that's the way that we manage our budget, and we look for the lean years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Buckley.
Thank you. A few years ago, the council started saving money. Boom times never last forever. I don't think anyone thought that the bust would last for as long as it has, but it has. We created that savings account to cover the bad years. Even with that, we have cut millions of dollars from the budget, 20% of the non-public safety staff as well. We have to look for further cuts, but they have to be surgical. We can't damage the public services. We also have to look at the pension system for the employees. We have a labor negotiations coming up with staff next year, and the absolute minimum change would be the creation of the 2-tier pension system. As for pay, we can look at that as we look at everything else. But I have to disagree with the pay of the city manager being considered egregious. Mr. Brady is an excellent city manager and is actually the second lowest paid city manager in the Inland Empire. Other cities have been overpaying, but suffice to say this is not Bell. You get, with our current city manager, and actually with much of our current city staff, we actually do get significant value for dollars.
Okay, and that's your time. Let's hear now from Joyce Smith.
Well, I believe that when we are in difficult financial times, which we all know that we are, and our city is certainly suffering, we have to be able to look at our expenses, our expenditures, and our income. And we have to somehow make those come out to meet each other. And so I know that our city has done the layoffs, they have done cutbacks, they are running on what they call a skeleton crew right now, and I believe they've done what they could. But I believe what we have to do in the future, if this continues, is we have to continue to prioritize what our expenditures are. We have to look at the things that are very necessary. Public safety is our number one priority. We must keep our streets safe, our neighborhoods and our children need to be safe, and from that point, we need to begin to cut back the things that are less necessary in the city.
Thank you. Daryl Hickman.
Thank you. Pay cuts are a necessity, okay, from everybody. Two-tier union for pensions, necessity. The thing that people should understand is the government does not create a product, they siphon the money off, okay? So in that case, we have to correct it. I've always asked them to think of ways to be creative to generate money. We had a mud run in our city. 13,000 people came in, paid $100 each, 1.3 million. We were not involved in it. We should have been. We leased out the stadium, but they just don't think like a businessman. They're here to tax and spend. And I'll tell you something, when it gets down to negotiations, I am not against privatizing. If they can't do the job and we don't get the service, I will bring private companies in to do the job. That's the way to handle the budget. You just got to make sure you do it right and think of our citizens, keep up the services, make sure they get the public service and protection. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Steve Manos.
I'm a big proponent of balanced budgets, real balanced budgets. So over the past 4 years, we've seen our reserves drop from $10 million to just $5 million. And by the city's own projections, if we continue on the current path, we will run out of reserves in the next 2.5 years. This is completely unacceptable. I make a promise about a 10% tax cut or a 10% cut to expenses because it's an easy promise to make. We have to do it to stay viable as a city. Obviously, people say, how do you do that? Well, of course, public safety and city employees are the two biggest things. So I'm going to very quickly talk about those two things. There's going to be cuts in those areas, period. There's no way around it. With public safety, we can refill the gaps that are left with public safety through volunteer citizens patrol. It's a program that I have advocated. I sat on the subcommittee trying to go ahead and get it off the ground. There has been resistance. We need the political will in order to go ahead and make a program like that happen. They have it in Temecula for a $6,000 line item. It brings $700,000 of hours worth of service. As far as the city goes, I agree with Mr. Buckley, and it's not surprising to hear Mr. Tisdale disagree with my 10% cut. He's a public employee. One of the most important things that we're going to do next year is renegotiate the public employee union's contract, and you need people you can trust to take our weaknesses and use them as strengths, and that's what I represent.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Are you satisfied with the management of the Diamond and the revenues produced for the city? Let's start with Daryl Hickman.
The city owns the Diamond, all right? The city tried to do some events. The city failed, okay? The Diamond has been productive. They're bringing in different venues, brings life to our city. I would not sell the stadium because in 20, 30 years, that land may be too pricey, okay? It's it's something that I think the city has to work closer with the Diamond. I'm very pleased with them. They've done an excellent job. In fact, we're now going to receive we have a single A. We're going to receive a triple A team from Portland Beavers. So you're going to see baseball every day, which is a boost to our economy there. They do Halloweens. In fact, Willie Nelson is married to a girl from Lake Elsinore, and I just want to ride on his cannabis. His RV bus, okay? I think they need help from the city, a little guidance, and they can definitely help the city forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick Masterson.
I think they're doing a pretty good job with the Diamond. They could pack it a little more. You know, they're working on it. Got another team coming. Nothing wrong with that. I have no gripes, bitches, or complaints about the Diamond at all.
Okay. Thank you. Joyce Smith.
Well, I know that in the years past there was controversy over whether we should bring that diamond to the city, and some of the city council people pushed forward, and it was a struggle for many years. And actually, I think it has been good to have it under the new ownership and management. And I believe that they are bringing things to our city that we need more of. I would like to see it used more often. I'm glad to hear that we have another team coming in. Baseball is good for our city. It's good for our economy. It will help stimulate the other businesses in the area. And I believe that we need to use it more fully, and I would be in favor of continuing to work with the management of the Storm to do more events that would benefit the city.
Thank you. Steve Manos.
And we've talked about it a couple of times tonight. We have the big announcement about the LA Slam, picking Lake Elsinore as a place to go ahead and come. And what that does is it enables and it creates a viable plan to go ahead and bring and build an international Olympic village to our community. They become the anchor tenant in that particular project. That will in turn go ahead and bring more people out to the Storm. It will make the Storm a more viable project, and it'll make them more profitable. And I think that's a great thing. I have a special place in my heart for the Diamond. I actually got married and had my reception there. I actually ran the bases and slid into home plate. Had a little bit too much champagne. But I love that place. And as a council person, I would do whatever I could to go ahead and continue supporting it, and as the way it supports our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Tisdale.
Your question one more time, please.
Are you satisfied with the management of the Diamond and the revenues produced for the city?
Yeah, I think the current management that I've met with has an excellent plan for the future for the Diamond. I think they plan to bring in great events. They plan to keep the stadium open a lot, and that was one of my biggest complaints when I first moved here. Is you have a stadium and you have beautiful summer nights, and yet there's nothing going on at the stadium. So I think that the current management is doing a great job, and I support them. I just want to clarify one thing for Steve is I support any measure that's going to balance a budget in Lake Elsinore. And I am a public employee, and I have filed exactly what I earn as a public employee. And I would ask Steve to do the same thing for his campaign contributions too, since he hasn't filed yet.
Okay, thank you. And finally, let's hear from Thomas Buckley.
Thank you very much. A few years ago, 9 years ago when I was first elected, I knew the stadium. It almost drowned the city. It almost bankrupted Lake Elsinore. But I led the negotiations with the Storm. We've saved $2 million and brought in a professional management team to actually make the stadium a success. We're getting concerts. The Portland Beavers will be here for a year or two before if they go to Escondido or Tucson. And that's also a really nice thing for the stadium. A stadium, however, has to be looked like. And the other thing is that we finally have an ownership team that knows what they're doing. Gary Jacobs is going to be developing around the Diamond and make the 20 years of waiting finally come true. One other thing, though, to compare the American Basketball Association Los Angeles Slam to the Storm is absurd. The ABA is a joke. The league has canceled playoff games because the teams don't have bus fare to get to the games. It's an insult to the Storm to compare them to the Slam.
Okay, thank you. All right, next question. Fire services are currently provided by the Riverside County Fire Department and CAL FIRE, but some have suggested that cities could reduce firefighting costs if they formed a joint powers authority for fire services. Do you think this could save the city money? Let's start with Joyce Smith.
Well, my understanding when I have talked to our city manager and different ones that we are getting the sort of the best bang for our buck right now with hiring our county fire department to come in and assist us, and working with the system that we have seems to be giving us the best that we can do so far. I am not opposed to coming to the table and finding out what we might be able to work out with a joint powers authority with other cities. But for right now, we are being able to utilize the county system. We need more firemen in our city. We have a brand new fire station that needs to be manned, and we need to be working on that. So that would be a priority that I believe I would want to hear more about, this joint powers possibility.
Thank you. Patrick Masterson.
Well, I'm not quite up to speed on the joint powers thing. I don't believe you should have too many cooks in that broth. I'm not willing to stake my family's life or my own on something that's not in need of repair. We have a great fire department. Leave it the way it is. Until somebody could show me something better, fine. If it's sane and it's economical, well, okay, I'm open-minded as far as that. But what we have right now is pretty damn impressive.
Okay, thank you. Steve Manos.
Our fire services are at optimal negotiated levels. There's not a lot of room to really go ahead and fix what we've got there. We have a fire station that is unstaffed and unmanned currently. We can't afford to do it right now. The city has gone to the county with the tin cup to try to go ahead and get them to help fund it, because the fire station does serve a portion of the county. My proposal to go ahead and get that fire station funded is, instead of asking for the money, is to go ahead and annex the area that we'd like that fire station serves. That's the Meadowbrook area. We could perform capital improvement projects, go ahead and take advantage of the tax dollars without raising taxes for the citizens, and actually get that fire station opened. I would like to rebrand that area as Horse Country, Lake Elsinore, Meadowbrook. And I think if we promise the people to go ahead and leave their community largely the way that it was, that they would accept and embrace the idea of having more local government. To correct Mr. Tisdale, I did file my campaign statements 2 days ago, so he's either lying or he's uninformed. As far as the ABA goes, the ABA is Dr. J's ABA. This is one of the largest and fastest growing professional basketball associations in the United States and internationally. And it's going to be a wonderful thing for the city of Lake Elsinore. And that's what we need, is people to promote things like that and be positive. Anybody who's against that project is not a friend of Lake Elsinore.
Time's up. Thank you. Let's hear from Daryl Hickman.
Canyon Lake is the city next to Elsinore. We presented that to them. In fact, they came to us and asked us if we'd do a joint program. We gave them the price. I don't think we've heard back from them. The cost, we have a brand new fire station. The cost to open that is $1.4 million. We don't have the money. As an example, we were $2 million short last year. Got 1.4 for the fire station. Got $600,000 for the lake. Our new animal shelters cost us over $500,000. So next year we are going to be $4.5 million short. The fire department costs us $4 million a year to service us. Maybe we should be like Tennessee and go to fire marks, where if you don't pay an additional money, you don't get the service. It's a heck of an idea. We're having problems with the county. It's just until people really get desperate, we can move forward. I think it's an excellent idea. We have stations that can service both cities. Thank you.
Thank you. And Thomas Buckley.
Thank you. Police and fire are the basics, the absolute basic services that citizens should expect their cities to provide at no charge. A JPA. JPAs can be unwieldy, but I would absolutely be willing to listen to consider a program like that if it showed real savings, real savings. A point or two, it's a question of going through and making the change, and if something doesn't go right, if the system doesn't work, and the animal shelter, for example, is a multi-city JPA, and it's a wonderful building, and by joining together, we did save money, but I can tell you as the rep on the animal shelter, it can be very difficult to get that many cooks, as I think Mr. Masterson said, to stir the spoon in the same direction. So I would consider looking at it, but really would need more information. Final thing as to annexations of Meadowbrook and Lakeland Village, which Mr. Manos had mentioned in the past, they would, first of all, the citizens in neither area would appreciate it, and they would both cost the city money.
And that's your time. Thank you. Let's hear now from Brian Tisdale.
Thank you. I think anything that's going to save the city money that we should look into. Again, unfortunately, I haven't had the privilege of sitting on council and looking at the Joint Powers Authority and how that would impact. But, you know, when I first moved to the city, I was a volunteer fireman, and I've worked closely with CAL FIRE in my day-to-day job, and they're an excellent service. And when you contract with someone like CAL FIRE, you bring a lot of resources into the city. Not only that, as people get promoted and they move around, you bring fresh people into the city. So I think we have a great fire organization. If the city was to try to go out on its own and have their own fire department, you could simply look at Murrieta's budget and see what a fire chief costs you. I think Patrick would lose it with that one. But, you know, fire departments are very, very expensive. And I think we've done a great job contracting with CAL FIRE in the county. You know, it's the state organization that the county also contracts with. And well, I just want to clarify with Steve, I wasn't lying. It was in the newspaper that Steve failed to file. So I think you're calling a press enterprise of the Californian a liar, not myself. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on now. This is our final question before closing statements. The city has been embroiled in a dispute with Trevi Entertainment Center owner Michael Knight, which escalated over time to the city revoking Trevi's live entertainment permit, a failed recall effort against Thomas Buckley, and indictments against Mr. Knight. Are you satisfied with how the city handled the situation? Let's start with Steve Manos.
I get to be first on this one. No, absolutely not. I am absolutely sick with the way that we've treated the Trevi Entertainment Center. What's amazing after all of this to reconcile with is that right now, as we speak, there is documentation filed that literally says that the Trevi Center is in full compliance with city regulations. That is the truth. It happened after a lawsuit was filed. I have a hard time understanding why they got such a deal through the city, and that's through the people that we were at. The only conclusion I can come to is that they were being handled, okay? And that's the problem with our city. We have a long reputation for having had businesses come to our community and the city leaning on them until they go out of existence. I remember hearing a guy from Canyon Lake trying to open a shack to sell bait along the lake. It took 20 years for that to happen. We have to change the tone with the business community in order to go ahead and bring businesses, but more importantly, jobs. We can't love jobs and hate businesses. It just doesn't work.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Brian Tisdale.
You know, I said at the council meetings when the chief of police talked about how many times he had to respond to Trevi, I heard how he allowed underage drinking in his establishment, how he locked doors. You know, about 8-10 years ago, back east, there was a big fire because a nightclub owner decided to lock his doors and several people died. So I think the city handled it well. What I'd like to do is preclude the remarks of not being business friendly by saying that I think the city did the right thing by revoking his permits. We need people in our city that are going to be responsible. These are our children and our family members that attend these events, these venues, and they need to be protected. And Trevi, like everyone else in this city, needs to follow the rules. And you know, and anybody that supported the recall, again, we saw him being taken away in cuffs. And there are two people that are sitting here that supported that recall, and they supported corruption to me. And I think that says a lot. I think we should look real close at those people because I think that's what you're going to get in the city. If they're going to allow our children to be put at risk over one owner and then call everybody else unfriendly to business, we have a problem.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Thomas Buckley.
I don't recall the question. Sorry, that's a joke.
That's okay. Good try.
No, the recall was just wonderful. No, obviously, again, kidding. Did the city handle Trevi as best as it could? I would say, personally, I would make sure that the doors were shut completely right now. He's a bad corporate citizen, operated in a dangerous manner. People's lives were put at risk. Hundreds of police calls, hundreds of violations. He's in compliance now because of everything else that had gone on, because he had to be finally come into compliance. And actually, I'm pretty sure that the bankruptcy court and the landlord who was trying to evict them also had an interest in making sure that he finally complied with city and state regulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Darrell Hickman, let's hear from you.
Brian, for your information, I had nothing to do with that recall. Totally out of it. Both sides were at fault. I mean, it was just a matter that it was ridiculous. Mine's bigger than yours, and yours bigger than mine. Here's the man that took a building that was dilapidated for 12 years, spent $7 to $8 million to bring it, refurbish it. Okay? There's been no underage drinking. There's been no lawsuits applied against it. The doors, okay, he has 17 exit doors. One door had a lock, a chain on it, which you couldn't get to if you had to get through the doors to get it. It really was a vindictive act from a lot of the people in the city. You will find out in the future, they fired the code enforcement man that went in there. Everything was taped, and I eventually anticipate another lawsuit from Trevi to the city. And you know something? We're very vulnerable. If you heard both sides of the story, you wouldn't feel that way about Trevi. Thank you.
And Patrick Masterson.
Okay, Clash of the Titans, round 3. All right, here it is. Had a couple egos flare up. People skills were not exercised on both sides. For the man to beat up City Hall and expect him to have sprinklers and et cetera, no, City Hall does not serve cocktails, nor does it have live entertainment. Has plenty of exits readily available, so yeah, no one goes behind the counter. So I mean, if you can't get out within 10 feet, I don't know what to tell you. All right, on the owner of Trevi's behalf, though, the man took $7 million plus, sunk it into a building that personally I wouldn't have, I got $7 million. You could look for me like on permanent vacation. So my kudos to the man for stepping up to the plate and wanting to do something to contribute to the society. I don't believe we should rough him up, but then again, we're not going to let somebody act like a spoiled brat and go about doing as they please. There has to be give and take. Let's be adult about it. Call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you. And Joyce Smith.
Well, I believe the Trevi incident and the recall was very unfortunate for our city. It was unfortunate, I believe, for everybody involved. And I am really saddened by the whole situation. But I am for business in our city. But I also believe that we have to be careful about what kind of businesses we are going to bring to our city, because not every business is conducive to the family atmosphere that we want our city to be. If a business comes here, they must abide by our codes, by our ordinances, by the laws that we have established. And if they are not abiding by those, then there should be a price to be paid. And as far as this issue goes, I believe we have hashed and rehashed this issue over and over again, and I believe we need to lay it at rest and look at the future. We have a future ahead. We need to bring in businesses that will benefit and complement our city, and that's what I will be a part of in the future.
Thank you. Okay, we move now to closing statements. Each candidate will get 1 minute, and we will go in reverse ballot order. So we will start with Daryl Hickman.
You've heard my philosophy, the way I feel about it, the city. I'm the one that can make the hard decisions. But most important, I'm a big community supporter. I'm the one that belonged to United Way Coalition, the Southwest City Coalition. I'm a big supporter of our special needs children. I'm on the RTA board. I have brought 3 buses to the city, 1 for the special needs students, 1 for our seniors, and 1 for Hope, who delivers food and gives food to the underprivileged. I'm a big youth court supporter. That's where the Lake Elsinore Valley Youth Court, that's where students police students. I work with the parade, okay? I give medals to our races. I coordinate and support the Memorial Day service at our Lake Elsinore Cemetery. And I even work for Lake Elsinore. I belong to board member for Lake Elsinore Valley Education, which gives scholarships to our students. And I'm an ELK member, same thing.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Steve Manos.
Good afternoon, Lake Elsinore. I want to thank you for having me here tonight to go ahead and speak about the issues at hand. You know that I'm a longtime resident. I am very, very active in our organism, in our city, not only citywide, regionally, statewide, and nationally. I want to bring good things to this city. My signs say fighting for you and fighting for us, and what that means is that I'm fighting for you. I've been here a long time, and we always hear about the promise that is Lake Elsinore, but that promise never seems to quite get there. And the problem is politics. We need people in office who are going to make decisions for logical reasons, not political ones. And that's what I represent. I've been bringing the word for the last 2.5 years, and I know the people out there are angry, and I've shown my anger. But I need the people to wake up. I need you guys to feel it and come out on November 2nd and vote for me, Steve Manos, for Lake Elsinore City Council. Thank you again, Press Enterprise. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Patrick Masterson.
I'm Patrick Masterson. I'm the guy without the signs. Okay, Dream Extreme should go for something other than the top 10. I bring integrity and common sense to the table. I am not going to vote for anything, nor am I going to condone somebody else's nonsense. If it's not in the best interest of the taxpayer, and being a working man myself on top of being a student, so I are somewhat intelligent, it's not going to get past me. The buck stops right here.
Thank you. Joyce Smith.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity to come before you and to share my thoughts and my desires for running for City Council. I believe that I bring something unique to the table. I believe it's time for us to stop bickering and stop fighting and to be able to work together in a professional way at the table as City Council members. I believe that we have had enough of the bickering and the going back and forth on our council. I want to bring a positive aspect to our city. I believe that we have a great city. I believe that the future of Lake Elsinore is great, and I believe our best years are yet to come. And I want to be a part of stewarding those good things forward, and I believe that it will be by unpacking the potential that God has given us by this natural lake, the beautiful terrain, bringing the businesses here that we need, and working together. And I thank you for your vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Buckley.
Thank you very much for the opportunity today. We definitely appreciate it. Lake Elsinore is a very different place than it used to be just 9 years ago. We've made so many improvements, and now we have to protect those improvements and keep moving forward. Our city must grow, but we have to maintain our special character. We're not going to be, nor should we be, another cookie-cutter California city. One thing that wasn't kind of touched on very closely today was the issue of taxes. Over the past few years, the city, we have refinanced CFDs, Community Facility District bonds, that most of our residents pay, cutting everyone's tax bill by $400 to $600 a year. And I think that's without impacting services in any way. We're always looking for ways to provide the best service at the lowest possible cost in the most responsible and respectful manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And finally, Brian Tisdale.
You know, Lake Elsinore is a beautiful city. And for the last 8 years, when we had a lot of money, a lot of decisions were made. But those bountiful times are over now. And you need someone that's willing to roll up their sleeves and do the hard work. But you also need someone that's willing to sit down and work with people who understand government, who understand how to make things happen, who can collaborate and move projects forward. You know, I've roamed around the world for 22 years, and I made Lake Elsinore my home. And I take this very serious. And for 12 years, I've been trying to better the city in different ways by being a volunteer and working within the community, not for myself, but for the community. So, you know, I bring honesty and integrity to the city. And I want to move the city forward. I want to do what's right for the residents and not for the few. And it's about the city of Lake Elsinore. And my slogan says, our city first. And that's what I stand behind, our city first. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank the candidates and thank everybody for coming. I'm going to turn it over now to Nels.
All right, I'd like to thank our moderator, Dr. Stacy Searle Chapin. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you candidates, all 6 candidates. You know, we've done 25 of these forums this week, and we did really save the best for last. 6 very distinct, passionate candidates. Very impressive. Thank you to the audience as well here in the auditorium at Mount San Jacinto College. Thank you to those who have been watching on PE.com. All 25 of these forums are available for viewing on demand on the politics area of PE.com. We would also encourage everybody to go vote on November 2nd. Very important to perform those civic duties. And then later in the evening on November 2nd, you can tune into PE.com and watch a live election show. You can go as late into the night as you like, and then by November 3rd, we'll probably have some results. So we'll also have a recap show on November 3rd as well. I'd like to thank our staff, Dave Kaufman, Angel Ortiz. I'd like to thank especially Mount San Jacinto College for the press enterprise. I'm Nels Jensen. Thank you very much.